Hello, everyone. This is Tyler Ford, Tucson, Arizona with eXp Realty, and welcome to this episode of Living in Tucson, your Tucson real estate connection. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of getting pre-approved for a home loan before you go shopping for a home. And then we're also going to be talking about the steps involved in doing that. Before I get started, just want to mention that it's so important as a home buyer to assemble what we call the A team. You're only as strong. We got Todd Abelson here with Altitude Home Loans, and he's my A team guy on the mortgage side of things. But you want to look at it kind of like you're assembling a football team. You're the coach. The real estate agent is kind of the quarterback that's going to be directing the A team. And the agent is kind of the person that you're relying on to assemble that A team. So it's important in the process, not only interviewing the agent, but also asking who's a part of their A team. So Todd would be considered the running back on the A team. And then you've got an escrow officer who's also another running back. And then you've got all your blockers, which are the inspectors. But it's so important to have the A team. And Todd is the guy that will worry about your loan more than anybody else, and he'll lose sleep over it. So that's why I love Todd is, he's behind the scenes making sure the process goes smoothly. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Abelson at Altitude Home Loans and talk to us about the importance of getting pre-approved and why, a lot of people make the mistake of doing it backwards, where they go out and look for a home and then do a pre-approval. So talk about the importance of doing it up front.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Tyler. And good morning, everybody. The important thing about it is, you want to be in a situation where when you find the house that you want, that you're ready to move forward as strongly as you can. Now, most people do what I call ready, fire, aim. They go out, they find a house, then suddenly they're looking at it, they're ready to put in an offer, and bang, now we have to struggle with everybody's hair on fire to try to get the pre-qual done. And we don't know what kind of issues may come up. And you may not have all the time and documentation available. And before you know it, especially in this market, the house is gone. So what you really want to do is ready, aim, fire. Look, if you're paying cash, it's a different story, but we're here talking about loans, which is what 70% of the people buying houses need. You need a loan. It's a tool to buy the house. So it behooves you and everybody to get set up first. You want to make your offer as strong as you can from the beginning, which means you want to get your ducks in a row, your money lined up, your pre-qualification, more than the paper in your hand. You want that to be as strong as possible. So try to make it as strong as cash if you possibly can.
Right. And Todd, talk a little bit about the importance. And a lot of people miss this. It's not about rate. It's not about the fees, which are important, but talk about the importance of local when assembling your A team, especially on the lending side. Talk about how important it is from, a local lender that people know, like, and trust.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, there's a lot of lenders available. We all know you can go, Costco offers them, your bank offers them. There's internet lenders all over the place. You can't put on a TV show without watching an advertisement for somebody. But again, in a very competitive market, you're trying to put as strong an offer as you can. When you're dealing with a local lender, in this case, let's just deal with me. Not only am I aware and knowledgeable of all the local customs and traditions about how it's handled, I can cut to the chase and get, the fees that we need and get those estimates put together. And the other part is, and it seems obvious to me, but it's not, is when you finally submit an offer, one of the things I do is, having 25 years experience, I've worked with most of the lenders that are the realtors that are here in Tucson. I can pick up the phone and call the listing agent, and in additional to just the paper that you're providing, we can say, hey, I've spoken with Joe and Jane and they're good, and we can talk about it. Only a local lender is going to be able to do that for you.
And that's one of the reasons I like Todd, because 99.9% of the lenders, They just issue a pre-qual to the buyer's agent that then sends it over to the listing agent. But Todd takes that up extra step. And in this market, it's so important. Well, Todd will actually call the listing side and say, hey, these people are solid, they're good to go. And it could be the difference between getting a seller to accept an offer or not, especially in this market. You need all the advantage that you can get. And it's one reason why I like Todd, because he does go the extra mile, and having local and a proactive lender on the other side can help you get a deal under contract in this market.
Yeah, anything you can do to strengthen the offer. I mean, baking cookies is good, but sometimes having a good positive relationship historically with the listing agent, they're going to be able to go back to the sellers and go, I've worked with Todd. He's solid. When he tells me people are good, it's like money in the bank. Right. And sometimes that's the difference between getting your offer accepted or not.
Absolutely. So let's switch over now and let's talk about the pre-approval process. There's 4 major steps. And let's talk about, so if somebody's new to this process and, you know, they're wanting to get set up pre-approved before they go home shopping, walk people through, you know, and there's a lot more to it. Let's keep it simple. Walk people through the 4 steps to getting pre-approved.
Okay. Well, no, and it is a matter of keeping it at the 10,000 foot level, because we'll be drilling down a lot once we're in the process. So, you know, what are people asking me? What things come up all the time? Well, we just touched base on local lender, but let's put it this way. People want to shop. They want to know that they're getting, quote, a good deal. And you don't know what a good deal is unless you've shopped around. So, you know, if you're going to shop, and I urge you to consider that, it's a good thing to do, but make sure that you do your shopping correctly. First of all, look for your lender before you start shopping for a house, because you don't want to be picking out lenders in addition to shopping for a house. That won't work. So if you're going to do that, compare rates and fees, not just rates, because if somebody offers you a 2% rate, but it's $15,000 in closing costs, that's not a deal. So you want to compare apples to apples. What's the rate? What's the fee? And give them a scenario. Hey, I'm buying a $300,000 house. I'm putting 20% down. I'm going to need 60 days to close. Compare and contrast those on the same day, and you'll get a playing field of what's going on. All right. Then once you've decided that you want to work with that particular lender, then you want to make sure that you know how to get a hold of them. Look, people shop for houses on evenings and weekends when they're not working. Duh. But if you're dealing with an 800 lender, what happens at Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock? You can't figure out how to get a hold of them. Okay, know how to get in touch with your lender after hours. Make sure that they
this is really important, especially as an agent and getting your A team, having somebody that's available, especially on the weekends when the majority of this happens. It's so important to have a lender that is accessible.
Exactly. So, you know, we'll put together a generic pre-qualification letter so that you have something in your hand, your realtor has something in the hand. But when push comes to shove, you're going to want something more than just a generic. You're going to want something specific to the offer. Again, trying to make the seller's agent and the seller feel really comfortable about it. And then you're going to want to have a dialogue at that time too. What are my payments going to be? How's it going to look? So this is just all part of the shopping. Decide who you want to work with, commit to them, knowing that they're going to take good care of you, that they're available, and you know they've passed the interview process. There's a smell test to a certain extent. Then we come down to the actual pre-qualification. What are we looking for? Very simple. For years I've referred to it as ALICE: assets, liabilities, income, credit history, and employment. Those are the things we're going to look at. Okay, if we're firing on all cylinders, credit's good, you got jobs, documentation, whatnot, it can be a very short process. There's a basic amount of information I need, but I name, rank, and serial number, pull a credit report, we'll review and discuss it. And at the end of that process, which can be as little as 15 to 30 minutes, we can generate a quality pre-qualification.
In terms of like step 2, filling out a loan app, it's pretty simple. So filling out a loan app, it's called a 1003, and you can talk about like 2 different easy ways to do it and what you prefer.
Well, there are two ways. And, the one way is we have a link where you can literally go in and fill out the full loan application. That's painful, but there are people that like to do it. So we have that access available. We can do it over the phone in, again, 15 to 30 minutes. I also have some brief document that I can email to you that, again, gives me basic information. Now, of course, if you're self-employed and there's more documentation and more backstory, so to speak, a discussion is definitely required. But it doesn't have to be complicated to get through the initial step. Don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. And if I can briefly interject, credit. People are really reluctant to let me pull a credit report. Well, let's put it this way. A pre-qualification issued without looking at your credit report isn't worth the paper it's written on.
Right.
Let the lender pull the credit. Multiple credit pulls in 30 days count as one. So if you have one or two or three people pull it, it's fine. If you have good credit, 5 points isn't going to matter. If you have poor credit, 5 points isn't going to matter. So understand that it's critical. You cannot get a level playing field. You can't really understand. So let the lender pull your credit report. And that's part of the initial process of doing so.
And then step 3, supplying documentation. So filling out a 1003, getting pre-qualified really still isn't really, it's not really worth the pre-qual until you verify and document, because somebody can tell you they make $1 million.
$1 million, that's
but you got to document it. So once they fill out the 1003, you give them a laundry list of these are the things, whether you're self-employed, W-2.
Right.
And so the next step is supplying the documentation. Talk a little bit about that. And at that point is when you know you got a solid deal.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. And Tyler, I couldn't have said it any better. Because if you tell me you make $1 million a year and you got $1 million in the bank, I can issue a pre-qual, but it's not worth the paper it's written on unless the supporting documentation is supplied. Mm-hmm. Now, I like to think of it, I call it the twos rules: 2 bank statements, 2 W-2s, 2 paycheck stubs. Now, if you're self-employed, we're probably going to need 2 years of taxes also, but it's the twos rule. It's basically your employment, your income, your assets. This way I can verify, okay, what do you actually make? If it matches up, then we're checking boxes yes, and then we can literally tell the selling agent, we've got everything. We've got everything we need in order to guarantee that this guy has the income, got the money, got the wherewithal. This pre-qualification is good as gold.
Right. And that leads to step 4, and that's now issuing the pre-qual. And as an agent, it's a lot of people miss this too, because you can have a pre-qual, but if they haven't verified the things within the pre-qual, then again, it's still not worth the paper that it's written on. So now that you've gotten all those things, the next step 4, the final step, is the pre-qual. Talk about that.
Right. And here's how my practice works. When I issue a pre-qualification, I look at it, and maybe this is why, I have a good following and a good loyal crew of people that I work with, because I take it really seriously. When I sign my name to the bottom of that pre-qual, I look at it from the point of view as, if I'm standing before the judge and explaining why I signed the bottom of the document, I can't say, I don't know. I want to sign it because it's solid, which means I'm putting my name on the line every time I sign that pre-qual. And all these wheels begin to turn. Sellers take their house off the market, buyers are packing their bags, appraisers are going in, inspectors. A lot of wheels turn when I sign my name to the bottom. So the way I really want it is to be rock solid. Tyler will share the pre-qual with you, but there are boxes. Do I have W-2s, paycheck stubs, W-2s, personal, corporate returns, bank statements, if there's gift money, if there's any additional documentation? Providing that stuff allows me to check yes. Again, it goes back to strengthening your offer, but it also goes towards, you're going to have to provide it to whichever lender you decide to work with. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Get it to them on the front, because you don't want to be searching for tax returns when you're packing your bags and looking for and moving to the new house. So get it done up front, get it out of the way, get it solid, and deal with it. You don't have to deal with it anymore.
And that's the reason I like Todd, because he signs his name on it. You know, it's a deal. Where some loan officers in this industry, they don't verify stuff. They issue pre-quals. And, you know, if Todd says you got a deal, you got a deal. But
Absolutely.
the other cool thing about like Todd and your A-team lender is when you submit a pre-qual with an offer, typically the pre-qual matches the offer, because you don't want somebody to know that you're pre-qualified for $50,000, $100,000 more. So it's really important to have that pre-qual match the offer. And if you've got somebody that's available on the weekends, you can make that pre-qual exactly what your offer is, which is also another important thing. But again, as an agent, having the A-team lender on your side is the most important person on your football team. It starts with the lender. So, and that's again, another reason why having your A-team and somebody like Todd is the way to go when buying a home.
Thank you, Tyler.
So Todd, so we're going to wrap this thing up. What's your, this quote I use all the time. It's one of my favorites. Todd and I work together in the mortgage business, and
I know which one it is.
This one's, and it's so true. And so Todd's famous line, give it to him, Todd.
We don't like surprises except on our birthday. Nobody likes surprises unless it's your birthday. Why? Because the last thing you need in this, which is already stressful, let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of things that are good in this world that are still stressful. Buying a house is one of the most stressful ones. We don't like surprises. You don't want to be 2 weeks into this process and suddenly finding out, whoops. You don't want to hear that, like a dentist when they're drilling in your mouth. You don't want them to say, whoops. No surprises. Don't like that kind of stuff.
Well, and in this business too, you know, when you've been at it long enough, it's no fun when you've got a deal that's going sideways because of the financing. And so again, having that A-team person is so important. So Todd, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, they want to get pre-qualified, ask you mortgage questions, where can they go?
That's great. Thanks a lot, Tyler. Well, I work with Altitude Financial Corporations, which does businesses at Altitude Home Loans. I'm on the Brandon Fleming team right here in Tucson. You can get in touch with me a couple of ways. Our main number is 520-331-LEND, which is 5363. So 331-5363. You can also get a hold of me by email at Abelson, that's A as in apple, B as in boy, ELSON at Altitude Home Loans. You can call Tyler.
What about your website? If they want
website, www.tucsonmortgages.com. Thanks, Tyler. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah,
Same way.
Website. So Todd's a great guy, and you know, reach out to him for any mortgage needs. And I just want to thank you, Todd. That was awesome. Hey, thanks for watching that interview with Todd and getting pre-approved for a home loan in the process. And again, I can't emphasize it enough that if you are thinking about buying, it's so important to get set up and pre-approved before you go out looking for homes. And just a couple other things to think about. If you head on over to Tucson Homes and Lots, on the homepage there's a button where you can search for all homes listed in the MLS. So head on over to Tucson Homes and Lots, check that out. And then there's a ton of resources about Tucson real estate and buying and selling. And then the other thing to consider is that if you use us to buy or sell a home, we've got a 16-foot box moving truck, no different than you would get at U-Haul. But if you use us to buy or sell a home, you're more than welcome to use our truck for free to move. And then even after the fact, down the road, if you need to move appliances, furniture, doing a remodel, and need to move some bigger items, you're more than welcome to use our truck. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let us know. And if you like this video, go ahead, like it, comment, love to get your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to get more videos on living in Tucson and your Tucson real estate connection.